I've directed the Secretary of the Army to conduct a full accountability assessment of those responsible at Dugway Proving Grounds, to include initiating a formal investigation of the specific actions that contributed to the unintended shipment of live anthrax spores. Now, until all of these recommendations are addressed in place, and Undersecretary Kendall has told me that they have been addressed, I have directed a continued moratorium on the production, handling, testing, and shipment of inactivated anthrax. That will continue. Now, this review taught us lessons we needed to learn. We were quite frankly surprised by them. They identified institutional and procedural failures we urgently need to address. We are shocked by these failures. I want to stress to you that DoD takes full responsibility for these failures. We are implementing changes and recommending the establishment of procedures, processes, and protocols that will prevent such a biohazard safety failure from ever happening again. There was no findings of malfeasance or wanton, misuse of protocols. It was the protocols themselves that were at fault.
It was not issued with the sample that was sent?
This was not issued on purpose.
But the thing that stood out for us at Dugway was that a fairly large proportion of the samples that they had irradiated turned out to be positive in their testing, about 20% when we looked at the records. That should have been a clear indication to people at Dugway that something was wrong. That number should have been much, much, much lower than that.
Hi, James Rosen with McClatchy. Deputy Secretary Wark praised the measures.
Too high a percentage of their batches were tested positive when they went through the verification test. And when the review team asked them what that number was, the original answer they got was 2 or 3%. But the review team checked the records, and the records showed that it was more like 20%. That's a significant difference. And one of the fundamental characteristics about anthrax and spores and these treatments for spores is that it's a statistical process. And when you're doing is you're sampling a statistical process. The technical leadership at Dugway should have fully understood that, and because of that, the implications of having that higher failure rate. Earlier at Dugway, in which apparently a live sample